Mogorjelo is one of the largest ancient complexes in Herzegovina. Life begins in the middle of the 1st century, when the complex of a large private agricultural estate, Villa Rustica, was built. A building for processing agricultural products, Villa Rustica Fructuaria, was built on a prominent part of the hill exposed to winds, while a residential building, Villa Rustica Habitatoria, was built on a sunny slope. This villa was destroyed in a fire sometime during the 3rd century, and on its ruins was built in the 4th century, presumably, a state with a villa.
Surrounded by the lavish greenery, this villa is one of the most beautiful archaeological monuments from the Roman times, and therefore protected by the state. If you wonder about the origin of the name Mogorjelo, most probably it comes from the local verb gorjeti, to burn, since this place through its turbulent history was often burned. The Mogorjelo site contains the ruins of different ancient buildings. The oldest among them, a sort of fortified farm, dates back to the 1st century. It consisted of a Villa Rustica Fructuaria, for agricultural purposes, and a Villa Rustica Habitatoria, a residential complex. On the ruins of those buildings burnt down in a fire in the 3rd century, a new, splendid Roman Villa Rustica was built in the early 4th century. A sort of country house with porches, the villa had a Roman castrum scheme, and it served as a supplier for the Roman city Nerona, close to Metković on the Croatian coast, but also as a defender of the area. During the Visigoths' invasion in the 4th century, the settlement was again damaged. Finally, in the mid-5th century, 2 Christian basilicas were built within the complex. Whether a connoisseur or a novice when it comes to archaeological ruins, the Roman Villa Rustica in Mogorjelo will please all tastes as it speaks about the ancient history of Herzegovina. And when you are in the region, you will want to know that besides following Roman footsteps as Mogorjelo, there is so much more to hold you here. Honestly, this is only the top of the iceberg. A true hidden treasure of discoveries awaits you, from the picturesque medieval town Počitelj to high thrill-seeking canoe safari on the Trebizhat River and swimming in the Kravić waterfalls to more relaxing but equally memorable birds-watching at Hutovo Blato Nature Park. Croats settled the areas of modern Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina in the 7th century. Administrando Imperio writes that Croats settled Dalmatia, and from there they settled Illyricum and Pannonia. There they assimilated with native Illyrians and Romans during the Great Migration of the Slavs. The Croats adopted Christianity and began to develop their own culture, art, and political institutions, culminating in their own kingdom, which consisted of 2 principalities, Lower Pannonia, Pannonian Croatia, in the north, and Dalmatian Croatia in the south. Red Croatia, to the south, was land of a few minor states. One of the most important events of the Croats in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the early Middle Ages is the First Croatian Assembly, held in 753 in Županjak, present-day Tomislavgrad. The second major event was the coronation of Tomislav, the first king of Croatia, in circa 925 in the fields of Županjak. By this act, Pannonian Croatia and Dalmatian Croatia formed a united Croatian kingdom, which included Dalmatia, Bosnia, and Pannonia, Eastern Slavonia and Eastern Bosnia, and Savia, Western Slavonia. In 1102, Croatia entered into a union with the Kingdom of Hungary. After this, Bosnia, which was earlier part of the Kingdom of Croatia, started to disassociate with Croatia. At first, Bosnia became a separate principality under Ban Kulin, who managed to solidify Bosnian autonomy at the expense of more powerful neighbors, but only in the 14th century did Bosnia become a formidable state. In the 14th century, King Tvrtko I conquered part of western Serbia and later parts of the Kingdom of Croatia, which he accomplished by defeating various Croatian nobles and supporting Hungary. Thus, the Kingdom of Bosnia emerged, but part of the present territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina remained in the Kingdom of Croatia. Regarding culture and religion, Bosnia was closer to Croatia than the Orthodox lands to the east, and the Diocese of Bosnia is mentioned as Catholic in the 11th century, and later fell under the jurisdiction of the Croatian Archdiocese of Split, and in the 12th century under the jurisdiction of the Diocese of Dubrovnik. Another connection of Bosnia with Croatia is that Bosnian rulers always used the political title Ban Kulin in similarity to their Croatian counterparts. In the middle of the 15th century, the Ottoman Empire started to conquer Bosnia. In 1451, they took Verbosna province and conquered Bosnia in 1463. Herzegovina was conquered in 1481, while northern Bosnia was still under Hungary and Croatia until 1527, when it was conquered by the Ottomans. After the Turkish conquest, many Catholic Bosnians converted to Islam, and their numbers in some areas shrank as many fled from fear of conversion and persecution. The Ottoman conquest changed the demographics of Bosnia and Herzegovina, reducing the number of Catholics and eliminating the Bosnian Church, whose members apparently converted to Islam en masse. The present-day boundaries of Bosnia and Herzegovina were made in 1699, when the Treaty of Karlovitz was signed in order to establish peace between the Austrian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. Another significant event for Bosnian Croats is the boundary established by an agreement between the Republic of Ragusa and the Ottoman Empire, where Ragusans promised to give in a part of their territory in Neum to the Ottomans in order to protect themselves from the Republic of Venice. The activity of the Catholic Church was limited, while the Ottomans preferred the Orthodox Church because Catholicism was the faith of Austria, the Ottoman enemies, while Orthodoxy was common in Bosnia, and thus it was more acceptable to the Ottomans. In the first 50 years of Ottoman rule, many Catholics fled from Bosnia. A number of Catholics also converted to Orthodox Christianity. Franciscans were the only Catholic priests to be active in Bosnia. Before the Ottomans arrived in Bosnia, there were 35 Franciscan monasteries in Bosnia and 4 in Herzegovina. Some monasteries were destroyed and some were converted to mosques. Citation needed. In the 1680s, there were only 10 Franciscan monasteries left in Bosnia. The Catholic Church in Bosnia divided its administration into 2 dioceses. One was the Croatian Bosnia Diocese, the part which was not conquered by the Ottomans, and the other was Bosna-Srebrena Diocese. Between 1516 and 1524, planned persecution and forced Islamization of Catholics occurred in Bosnia and Herzegovina. In that year, Franciscan monasteries in Kraljeva Sujeska, Visoko, Vojnica, Kreševo, and Konjic, and later in Mostar. It is believed that during that time, some 100,000 Croats converted to Islam. In 1528, the Ottomans conquered Jajce and Banja Luka, thus destroying the Croatian defense line on Vrbas River. After that conquest, Croatia reduced to around 37,000 km². During the 18th century, Turkish rule in Bosnia and Herzegovina started to weaken, and after the Napoleonic Wars, their rule rapidly decreased. The Ottoman Empire lost its demographic, civilization, and other reserves for military and territorial expansion, while the Austrian Empire, as the rest of the European countries, gained them. From 1815 to 1878, the Ottoman authority in Bosnia and Herzegovina was decreasing. After the reorganization of the Ottoman army and abolition of the Janissaries, Bosnian nobility revolted, led by Husein Gradaščević, who wanted to establish autonomy in Bosnia and Herzegovina and stop any further social reforms. During the 19th century, various reforms were made in order to increase freedom of religion, which sharpened relations between Catholics and Muslims in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Soon, economic decay would happen, and nationalist influence from Europe came to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Since the state administration was very disorganized and the national conscience was very strong among the Christian population, the Ottoman Empire lost control. On 19th June 1875, Catholic Croats, led by Don Ivan Music, revolted because of high taxes in West Herzegovina. Their goal was to subordinate Bosnia to the rule of the Emperor of Austria, respectively King of Croatia. During the revolt, for the first time, Bosnian Croats used the flag of Croatia. Soon after, the Orthodox population in East Herzegovina also revolted, which led to the Herzegovina uprising. The Ottoman authorities were unable to defeat the rebels, so Serbia and Montenegro took advantage of this weakness and attacked the Ottoman Empire in 1876, Soon after, the Russian Empire did the same. The Turks lost the war in 1878, and this resulted in over 150,000 refugees who went to Croatia. After the Congress of Berlin was held in the same year, Bosnia and Herzegovina was transferred to the Austro-Hungarian Empire.